Good morning.
There we are.
How are you this morning? It's a beautiful, beautiful fall morning, and you sure can tell that fall is here. I think it was 66, and Larry said 68 when we walked out the door this morning. Larry Ryan's our cameraman, and Ray and Tyler, we want to thank all of them for the help that they give us all the time. I'm Kay Moon, your host for today, and we have as our special guest this morning Alan Hayes, the Supervisor of Elections for Lake County. Good morning, Alan.
Good morning, Kay. It's great to be with you.
Nice to have you back again with us. You know, I want to start out the show a little bit. The last time you were here, you didn't know this, but we lost half of our interview because of technical problems. And one of the things that I wanted to touch on that no one got to hear except me was your Wall of Honor. We were talking about that, and I just want people to know what that is, because we never got that across to them.
The difficulty I have talking about the Wall of Honor is keeping my composure, because
you should have waited till the end of the show.
It's okay. That's okay. I love this country, and I treasure this country, and I am so eternally grateful for what our veterans have done. It's because of the sacrifices that those men and women and their families made that we're able to vote today, and we're able to live in the greatest land on earth. And one small way that we have of saying thank you and honoring those veterans is our Wall of Honor. There in our office, we have a 55-inch TV screen, and we load their pictures with little brief biographical information like their name, what branch they were in, and when they served, and if they won any special honors or medals, things like that. And that is a continuous loop that plays all day long right there in our office, and it's also on our website.
Yes, I saw it.
lakevotes.com. Look under down the left-hand side under Wall of Honor, and we beg you, if you are a veteran, if you're married to a veteran, if your father, brother, anyone in your family is a veteran, please submit their name. We prefer a uniformed picture if they have it. It's not a requirement. We do have several names there that don't have pictures. But it's just our way of saying thank you and recognizing. And we particularly use this when we go into the schools for voter registration drives in the 16, 17, and 18-year-old students, to explain to them it's because of these men and women here that we're able to do what we do today in our country. And so please, if you're not on there, get on there, and if you have people in your family or your friends, by all means, nominate them as well.
Well, like I said, we lost that part of the broadcast, so I wanted it explained this morning because I know how dear it is to your heart, but it's so important. And I've been on that website, and it's very moving.
It is.
Very,
Indeed
very
it is.
moving. And a very nice tribute to all of our guys and gals, really. All right, this morning, before the show, Norman Greshmeyer was here, and he has asked Alan a question, and we are going to go over that. His question was, I vote by mail and have for years. I don't quite know whether I trust the post office this year, so I'm going to come here in person and vote at my polling place. What do I do with my mail-in ballot?
And that is a very good question, and we appreciate being offered this morning. The answer is bring that ballot with you to the polling place, whether it be the early voting site that you may choose, which is the Leesburg Library is the nearest one to here. But you can early vote, or you can vote on Election Day, which is right here in the Community Center, and bring that ballot with you. Turn it in to the poll workers there. They will void that ballot and then can issue an Election Day ballot for you, or an early voting ballot, whichever the case may be. The way our system is wired, though, they can't issue that ballot without voiding the other ballot. So bring that vote by mail ballot with you, turn it in, it'll be voided, then you get your other ballot and go ahead and vote. Now, another option, too, if you don't want to mail your vote by mail ballot, but you would rather not wait until Election Day, go ahead, fill out that ballot, and then just take a nice leisurely country drive over to Howey in the Hills and then up through Tavares and come to our office. They're on 441. We have a drop box that is camera secured. It's got 3 cameras trained on that box 24 hours a day. You can just drive by, slide your envelope in the slot, And we retrieved, matter of fact, yesterday at our midday harvesting, we took over 500 ballots out of that box.
Oh my gosh.
Yesterday. So a lot of people are utilizing that, and we certainly welcome it. And it's a beautiful drive over through Yalaha and Howey in the Hills, and then you can come back through Leesburg if you got to have a big city fix, you know.
Have a traffic fix.
That's right.
How did that controversy with the post office? I don't ever remember that being such a controversy. Is it more so this year than in the past?
Kay, unfortunately, in today's political environment, everything is controversial. I yearn for the days of statesmanship when men and women of differing views on policy could sit and discuss respectfully their different ideas and either agree on some parts or just agree to disagree, but do it respectfully and everything. And all of this stuff that's going on now is just so repugnant to me.
It's sickening, isn't it?
It is. And, you know, unfortunately, the post office has a reputation, whether it's earned or not, they have the reputation of failing to properly deliver mail. Well, when you try to put it in perspective, though, and look at the billions of pieces of mail that they handle on a daily basis, and then consider the small number that do get misroaded or do get destroyed or something like that, they really have a very good track record, I think. And, you know, it was 2 years ago, we were being just inundated with the vote-by-mail return ballots, which we welcome. And I think there were 10 or 12 trays that we received one day, and as we went through them, we found a small stack about that high of different mail pieces that did not even belong to our office. And so I put them in a little envelope, and I took them back down to the post office, and I tried to let those people know there, you know, folks, these don't belong to us. And rather than saying, why did you stupid people send this stuff to us, blah, 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 I tried to put it in that perspective and say, you know what, guys, y'all are doing a great job. Keep it up. This small stack is the only one that came to our address incorrectly. And so that's the way to do it, I think. And they seem to appreciate my understanding.
Oh, I'm sure.
But yes, their machines are made by humans, they're run by humans, and they're going to be mistakes. We just try to minimize those mistakes. Now, one of the things, if I may, share some of the experiences that we've already come in contact with in our vote-by-mail program this year. Some of the return envelopes are arriving with the seal already glued shut. Thank you, Mr. Humidity of Florida. And if that happens, you can try to steam it open, or you can take a letter opener and slide it under the glue part. Many times that will help open it up. And in the end, go ahead, put your ballot in the envelope, and if you need to put some Scotch tape or something over it, go ahead and tape it, and then get it back to us through the drop box or through the Postal Service. Another factor is sometimes the secrecy sleeve may be omitted. On my way over here this morning, I had a gentleman call and said, my wife put her ballot in, sealed the envelope, and then noticed the secrecy sleeve sitting on the table. Is there any harm in that? The answer is no. Secrecy sleeve is put there for the convenience of the voter. The statute requires us to put that in there, but it doesn't require the voter to use it.
So it doesn't negate the ballot?
Not at all. No, ma'am. The important thing with the vote-by-mail system is, number one, make sure that we have an up-to-date signature on file. Number two, make sure that you sign the envelope before you return it. We prefer that you give us your cell phone number and your email address so that if there's any issue with your signature, we can contact you quickly. If we don't have that cell phone and email address, our only alternative is to mail a letter to you through this same postal service we've been talking about. We know it's going to take 2 or 3, maybe 5 or more days to get to you. And then that letter will explain to you how to correct the issues. And that's just a very slow way to do it. It's not mandatory that you put the information there on the envelope, but it's certainly recommended. But it is mandatory that you must sign the envelope.
Okay. About how many absentee ballots have been mailed out? How many do you...
Already we've mailed out over 72,000.
72,000.
Yes, ma'am. Our first big group was mailed last Thursday at 40,000 plus. I think it was 43,000 some odd. And then Friday we mailed out another 30,000 that had accumulated. So, and we're over 72,000 already.
So how long with all of this process? And they have to be in by November 3rd.
Yes, ma'am.
Postmarked before.
No. Wait. Excuse me.
Okay. No.
Forget the postmark.
Okay.
In Florida, the postmark means absolutely nothing on your return ballot.
Okay.
That envelope must be in my office, physically in my office, no later than 7 p.m. on election night.
Okay.
If it's not there by 7 p.m., we're not allowed to count it. If the mailman shows up at 7:15 or 7:30, I'm sorry, that batch will not be counted.
That's why the push to get it back as soon as possible.
Absolutely. That's why we ask people, please make sure your signature is up to date. Please request your ballot as soon as you can. We'll get it to you as soon as we can. And then please get it back to us as rapidly as possible, because the canvassing board is the three-person group that controls our action, in compliance with the statutes. And we will actually begin the counting of these vote-by-mail ballots on October 14th. And every day we'll just keep counting and counting and counting right up through election night. And then on election night, when the polls close, typically at 7 o'clock, then we post the totals of all the early voting sites up through the October 31st early voting deadline. And then also we post the vote-by-mail totals. All of those totals are posted before 7:15, usually by 7:05. They're on our website. And if there are any other non-counted vote-by-mail ballots, of course, we will add to that through the next evening, But it's just a matter of getting them in as quickly as you can so we can get them counted.
Do you think that this year, with all the controversy, do you think that we are going to have an election result that day, that night, the next day?
No, we will have election results here in Lake County.
We will in Lake County, yes.
I expect the Florida results will be in that night as well, but some of these states are allowing the return of their vote-by-mail ballots, 3 or 4 or 5 days later, which I think is absurd.
It is.
It's just absolutely ridiculous. Every person that's registered to vote is at least 18 years or older. Mm-hmm. They're considered adults in the legal world, so I think it's time they be given some adult responsibility. You have a deadline. If you don't make that deadline, you're out of luck. I know that's hard and just considered unkind, but I'm sorry, that's just the real world. We have to have deadlines, and that's it.
Right.
So I'll get off my soapbox.
Okay, as far as dates are concerned, now September 24th was the mail by mail ballots were distributed, right?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, October 5th, which is our next date, is when the registration book closing. That's the last day to register for either party.
That is correct. If you want to vote on the November 3rd election, you must have your registration completed before midnight, October 5th. That's this coming Monday.
And the registration includes your correct address. And if you have moved, we've talked about this here on TV before, if you've moved across the street, next door, any place within our community, you must register your correct address.
That's correct. Yeah. Now, let me also add, if you have forgotten to change that address, the election workers at the polls can change your address as long as you're moving here in Lake County. If you moved here from another county and you didn't change your address, then the clerk at the polling place will have to make a phone call to our office. We can then bring that record over if it's from here in the state of Florida. If you're coming from out of state and you haven't registered, you're just out of luck. Again, it's an adult game we're playing here, so
right, the responsibility, yes. That's right.
Yes.
And early voting begins at 10 o'clock on November 19th, or October 19th, yes, and goes until 6 o'clock that night. October 24th is the last day to request a vote by mail ballot. Mm-hmm. October 31st, early voting ends.
At 6 p.m.
At 6 p.m. And November 3rd, Election Day, the polls are open from 7 a.m. till 7 p.m.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Now, they have a wonderful, wonderful website, Lake County. election. And I think your website is terrific, very
Thank you.
easy to move around, which we have done. And you can certainly go online and get a lot of the information. But since Mr. Hayes is here this morning, it's nice to have questions answered. Do you need a valid photo ID for the general election?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Yes, ma'am. If you choose to early vote or if you choose to vote on Election Day, you must show an identification card with your picture on it, and we also have to have a sample of your signature on an identification card as well. Most people use their driver's license. Some people don't have a driver's license. Passport is certainly acceptable. Yes, ma'am. Your picture and your signature, that's what we got to have.
Okay. Now, what do you expect early voting, the percentage to be? Do you think it's going to be pretty great this year?
Okay, it's very difficult this year to predict. Typically, we have about 33% in each of the three methods of voting. Vote by mail, early voting, and election day. This year, in the primary, we had a big surge in vote by mail. Our election day our early voting was dismal. We didn't even have 10,000 people vote in the primary. It was 9,000 and change in the early voting. For the general election, personally, I'm expecting a much greater number of early voting than we had in the primary, and then, of course, election day as well. But in today's environment, it is very difficult to predict. I think when it's over and done with, we will see here in Lake County probably an 80 to 85% turnout, though, which I think is good. It would be nice if we had 100% turnout, but that's unrealistic to expect that. But that 80 to 85%. In 2016, the Lake County turnout was 78%. And so I think this year it'll probably be a little higher than that. It'll be higher than
I suspect that it will. I suspect that it will. There's something that I was going to ask you. I know the amendments. I went online and I found I always get to vote and I never know what the amendments are on the election, on the ballot, or how they're explained. They are there. When I went on the last time, there were 6, and Monty told me this morning that there are now 8 amendments. Is that correct?
No, ma'am.
Just
no, ma'am.
6?
There's only 6. Yeah.
Okay, and I do have them here. We are going to have a show in the next couple of weeks on the amendments, so watch the drum for the announcement of that, and we're going to go over each amendment and what they are and what they do. And I, like I said, I've got a list of all 6 of them here. So I'm going to be an informed voter this year. I get there and I think, I don't know, I don't understand. So,
well, it's great that you brought that up, Kay, and I appreciate it, because a couple of things that we can talk about. Number one, our website will have a sample ballot on it for your particular precinct this Friday.
Okay.
So you can go onto the website and pick up the actual language. It's going to be on your ballot for your precinct on Friday. You can print it out if you want to. That will not suffice as a ballot on Election Day. You can't bring that piece of paper in, but you can bring it in and use it as your cheat sheet.
Right,
yeah, that's right.
Right.
For all of those who have not requested a vote by mail ballot, you will be mailed a sample ballot. October the 12th is when those go out. This Friday they'll be available on the website, and then October 12th they'll be mailed if you haven't already requested a vote by mail ballot. If you have requested a vote by mail ballot, we don't mail you a sample ballot because your actual ballot.
Now, does the sample ballot go into the summary about the amendment?
Oh yes, it has
that
identical language. It's on the real ballot, is on the sample ballot.
Okay,
sure is. Yes, ma'am.
Because that will help. But sometimes you get in there and you think, I haven't read this before, and you want to process it. That's why we're going to have a show about that, just to give the people a little bit more information. Right. We have a lot of local elections this year, don't we?
Yes, ma'am.
Some of the people are unopposed, like the sheriff is unopposed this year. Right. Several.
Yeah, all of our constitutional officers were unopposed. We do have a couple of county commission races on this ballot. Then we have several city races on this ballot as well. I think Leesburg has only 1 or 2. I'm not real sure. forgive me. It's not that it's unimportant. It's just that I don't pay attention to
just to Leesburg per
that's
se.
right,
Yes,
yeah.
yes. Now, when you go into the website and it shows the list of people that are running, and it says unopposed, of course you know what that means. Qualified or not qualified, what does that mean?
That really is confusing,
It is.
unfortunately. Qualified means that they either paid the qualifying fee or they qualified by petition. The non-qualified means that on June 12th at noon, when the qualifying period ended, they had not completed the qualification process, thus their name would not be on any of the
So
ballots.
they're not going to be on the ballot
That
if
is
you
correct.
see that.
That's
Okay.
right. Now there's another factor too, that since the primary we have updated our website, and if you go on to the home page, you will see really a rather wide portion of that home page, and it says 2020 general election. If you'll click on that, then you'll see a drop down of all the races that are going to be on any of the ballots here in Lake County.
Okay.
You can see that this morning even. If you click on that,
Okay.
it'll just be that drop down list of all of them. It'll have the city races and all that sort of stuff, and the amendments. But it just is a summary of the amendments. It's better to wait and get your own individual sample ballot on Friday.
Okay. All right, fine. We also, if you are a member of ARP, there was a nice article about the state of Florida. Is the state ready? It was in the latest ARP magazine, so you might want to get that.
Did they say we're ready or not?
I think we're ready, according to what the key races, and they give you your rules and options and your important dates, which we went over. But it's a nice article. It's pretty lengthy, and who will lead the recovery? It's just goes
Well,
on
everybody
and on
knows. Yeah, everyone knows that the two counties in 2018 that had such a
Problems.
dysfunctional election, both those counties have new supervisors of elections there, and so we're going to see a
And new
very, very
equipment,
different.
I understand.
Oh yes,
Yes.
Palm Beach County got all brand new equipment too, so it'll be a much better election.
Much
this
smoother
year.
run. I anticipate there's going to be some problems, but let's hope not many.
I perhaps am a little Pollyannish, but I think that the problems are going to be so isolated that that
that's
it'll
good
really
to
be no
hear.
big deal, because we have, I know every one of the other 66 supervisors, and they're dedicated professionals. They have great teams working for them, and we have to understand we're the third largest state in the nation now in population. We have a huge, huge number of people that are going to be voting. Any time you have a group that large, there are going to be differences of opinions.
Oh, of
There are going to be a little
course.
this or that or the other, but there should not be any major mess ups at all that I'm expecting.
Florida has had some bad press in the
Oh, yeah.
Yes, yes.
And
Now,
some of it's deserved.
this may be a crazy question, but how has COVID affected the handling of the ballots and things that come into the office? What's being done there?
Well, in our office, forgive me for being a little innovative, but my background in dentistry, I learned the sanitizing effect of ozone.
Mm-hmm.
So we did a little Rube Goldberg device. We took a large storage cabinet that had two doors on the front of it. We cut a hole in the top of it, and we put an ozone generator blowing ozone through that hole down into that cabinet. We put closet shelving, the wire closet shelving in that cabinet, and we just lay the trays of mail on there as it comes in, close the doors, turn it on for a full hour, and let those ballots be bathed in that ozone for an hour. Then we take them out and start handling them. We know we're handling clean
Amazing,
paper.
amazing.
I can promise you it's the only one in the state of Florida that's doing that.
That's a tremendous idea, and I'm sure that was yours. Yes.
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah.
That one I will claim. Now, we have another really economical innovation here in Lake County, too, that as far as I know, we were the first ones to do it, but there are other counties that are doing it. I shared the ozone idea with other counties, and I also shared, we have the electronic signature pad.
Right.
And my guys were trying, because you can buy disposable styluses, And my goodness alive, those things are expensive. When you consider you got to probably buy, for the primary and the general, you got to buy 250,000 of them. And so they started trying different things. Just, hey, desperate situations yield to desperate efforts sometimes. Somebody reached over and grabbed a Q-tip, a common, ordinary Q-tip, and tried it, and lo and behold, the signature showed up on the pad.
Oh, for heaven's sake.
So they brought it to me and said, can you believe this will work? And I said, no, show me. And they did. And I said, okay, that little short Q-tip is too short for most people to feel comfortable writing with. I know where we can get a 6-inch one. Because in dentistry, we use the 6-inch cotton tip applicators all the time to apply different medicaments and things. So I went to the dental supply catalog and I ordered 250,000 6-inch Q-tips. And now we give everybody their own little Q-tip. They can sign the thing and throw it in the trash, and it costs less than a penny a piece.
Oh, fantastic.
We also encourage voters to bring their own pen if they would like to.
Okay.
Make sure it's a ballpoint. Please do not use a felt tip marker. Don't use a gel pen. We want it to be a ballpoint pen, either blue or black ink. But make sure it's a ballpoint. The ballot this year, the first page is written on front and back, and the second page is also written on front and back on most of the ballots. Mm-hmm. See, here in Lake County, we have over 150 different ballots. It's not like everybody in the whole county gets the same ballot.
Right.
But anyhow, use a ballpoint pen. If you don't bring your own pen to the polling place, we have pens there disposable that we can give to you. I think they were, 4 or 5 cents a piece when you buy them in such quantities that we buy them. And you're free to take that pen with you, or you can leave it there and we'll sanitize it and recycle it. But and of course, gloves, masks, face shields, and things like that, hand sanitizer, the disinfectant wipes that we're using to wipe down the privacy booths and things like that. Also, each of the early voting sites, we're adding an additional person to that team because the state law requires us to have the drop box at every early voting site constantly monitored by either an employee of my office or a sworn law enforcement officer. So instead of getting the law enforcement officers, we just are hiring election workers to sit there. And the box itself will have a cable connecting it to the chair or the desk or something that to make sure that somebody can't just run in and grab the box and run down the street.
Right,
That's right.
right.
And the box will be locked. None of the ballots will be left in the early voting site overnight. They all come back to our office by courier, and that's just our normal procedure. All of the ballots that go through the tabulation machine that day are also returned by courier that night. So that didn't require any adjustment. But
how about the training for your poll workers? Was it any different this year than it has been?
Well, only in that we had to add the COVID personal protection things, but everything else is the same. We run basically the same class size. Our training rooms in our office are not large enough for us to have the social distancing that everybody's recommending. So the city of Tavares was gracious enough to allow us to use their civic center, and that allowed it's a larger room, so we can spread the people out in a greater distance, and it's much safer there.
That's great. Well, we really thank you for coming on this morning, taking the time to drive all this way, and then needing to go back to Tavares. So you have 2 country drives this morning.
Well, believe it or not, when I leave here, I'm headed to Lady Lake to the library there, where we're having a training session for the election workers, and just want to tell them thank you for stepping up to the plate and serving in this way.
And we've got some great people here, too, that work in our community. It's wonderful.
Absolutely you do. I've always enjoyed coming to Hawthorne, and I have to give a shout-out to all our election workers all across the county. We hire about 900 of them for every election, yes, ma'am. And those people, most of them have been working in elections for the last, 10, 12, 15 years even. And they have been so gracious to adapt themselves and embrace all the new technology. I can't praise them enough to say thank you for continuing to make the elections run well. Our team at the office year-round is 18, 20 people, depending on the particular day. And there's no way that small group could ever do this election
Right.
without the dedication of these folks that come in and just work for the season. And it's so great to see them embrace these changes and make them work so well.
Well, we thank you for taking the time, and we know you're going to be busy in this next month, especially in November. And I know everything will go smoothly.
Well,
thanks for your time.
The official elections prayer is, Lord, we don't care who wins the election, just please make it by a wide margin. That way we don't have to do recounts.
Recounts, that's right. How true, how true. That's wonderful. Well, we do have a memorial. I don't know if it's been read. Mary Havens passed away September the 14th. And the service is to be determined and announced at a later date. And we offer her family our deepest condolences. We have an anniversary this morning, Charles and Fran Durant, and we wish them happy anniversary, and a birthday, Virginia Clark. So if you see Virginia in the community, please wish her a happy birthday. It's a beautiful day to have a birthday today. It's wonderful. So tomorrow, we had on the bulletin was marked Barbara Weiss with ARP, and that's not going to be true tomorrow. U.S. House candidate Dana Cottrell is going to be here, and Dawn Basaraba is going to interview her. So please watch the show tomorrow. And on Friday, the Artist of the Month is Lois Weber, and Jenny Stiles will be here to host that program. We have a board up here daily now that is explaining their different shows that are going to be on. If you stop by, you might want to read them. Some are changed in the bulletin, and we're sorry for that. We're also running, I want you to know, running the bulletin or our budget information. And we are going to do that every day at 3 o'clock in the afternoon. This week we're showing the Budget 101 that went on last week. Now starting Monday, the 5th of October, we will be having every Monday there will be a new budget meeting, and that show will be shown not live but recorded at 3 o'clock every afternoon. We are going to be doing the exercise to music on Mondays and Wednesdays at 10 o'clock, and also the physical exercise at 2 o'clock on Thursday. So just watch your drum and watch your bulletin. We thank you for joining us today, and have a nice day. Enjoy it. Get out, walk, ride your bike, whatever. Just enjoy this beautiful weather. We'll see you in the community, and thank you for joining us.